On this edition of Southern Newsweek, a war of words has erupted over the proposed Wanaka Airport expansion. A group of leather-clad motorcyclists roared through Oamaru and Dunedin as part of an international tour. And the government lifts restrictions on who can purchase Kiwi-built homes. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. A war of words has erupted over the proposed Wanaka Airport expansion. This follows an accountant's analysis saying the airport would need a flight every 10 minutes to be commercially viable. Queenstown Lakes District Mayor Jim Bolt says the report is fundamentally wrong. But the report's author says the airport and council are either hiding something or don't have all the facts.
Wanaka Airport under proposal for expansion to the tune of $400 million. Wanaka Stakeholders Group are opposed to the expansion and commissioned Chartered Accountant Richard Somerville to look into the proposal.
It's an objective piece, if anything, conservative in terms of the outcome, in order to understand what $400 million capital spend means for Wanaka Airport.
Queenstown Lakes District Council owns a majority share of the local airport corporation, and Mayor Jim Bolt has retorted, saying the report is fundamentally wrong because the cost of creating a jet-capable airport is around half of the $400 million used in the analysis.
And I did stress to the stakeholders group that that's a very important number for me to be basing my analysis on. And so this counter-statement seems to be, well, it is quite contrary to the number that's been disclosed directly by QAC to the stakeholders group.
Somerville says they should make more information public regarding Wanaka Airport.
So I think it indicates the fundamental problem we have here is that there isn't enough information about what this proposal is all about. You know, we're picking up pieces of information and putting it together as best we can, but only QAC and QLDC have access to the real information, and I think it's time they're disclosed. And if they don't disclose it, quite frankly, they're either hiding something or perhaps they don't have the information.
Wanaka Stakeholders Group say they will now request a public release of the Wanaka Airport expansion proposal regarding its business case, lending criteria and ramp-up period details. In Wanaka and Queenstown, the South Today.
Women motorcycle enthusiasts across the world are taking part in a global baton relay, raising awareness of women who ride motorcycles. The leather-clad group on the New Zealand leg of the event roared through Oamaru and Dunedin on Tuesday.
Getting their motors running, heading for the highway. No, it's not a remake of the classic late 1960s movie, but a group of around 70 women touring New Zealand, raising awareness of women who ride motorbikes.
And we often find when we go into bike shops or go to buy new gear, there's always like lack of product, or it's always pink, or it's really to raise awareness of women in the motorcycle industry.
Over the past few days, Donna Powell has been roaring around the highways of New Zealand in her underwear, Wonder Woman underwear to be exact, with a group of like-minded ladies.
So it started in the UK, and then women from all around the world have been passing the baton over from country to country. And we have over 80 countries that has been passed over to. And we're here today just doing the 4 days of the New Zealand relay.
She's one of a large group of female motorcyclists who passed through Oamaru and Dunedin yesterday as part of the New Zealand leg of the Women Riders World Relay.
So we started in Waitangi, it was day one. And then each day we've had 2 legs in each day. So we Waitangi, and then we went all the way down to Taupo, and then Taupo to Wellington, and then we've done Picton to Christchurch, and now this is our final leg down to Invercargill.
She's co-organising the New Zealand leg and has been documenting the event in pictures and on video. She says it's a memorable experience.
Met some great ladies and stuff along the way, and it's been a really, really great ride.
A single wooden baton has accompanied the riders around the world. The riders leaving Dunedin yesterday for Invercargill on the final leg of the Women Riders World Relay. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The government's deal to create Kiwi-built homes in Wanaka was not in the best interest of first home buyers. That's according to Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, as the government lifts restrictions on who can buy the unsold Kiwi-built houses in Wanaka's North Lake subdivision.
20 terrace houses under construction at Wanaka's North Lake subdivision, which have been on offer to Kiwi-build first home buyers for prices well over $600,000. A month after going on the market, they've remained unsold and unwanted. Now dubbed a failure, the Kiwi-build houses will be put up for sale on the open market as the government reconsiders its ambitious target of building 100,000 homes to help Kiwis struggling to buy their first home.
The target that we had, that was leading to decisions that weren't in the best interests of those first home buyers or the Kiwi-build scheme.
Prime Minister Ardern says selling the houses to all comers will help the government get back their capital for building more Kiwi-build homes in the future, though possibly not in affluent towns such as Wanaka.
So moving away from the target, we think will help make sure that we're building the right house in the right place and for first home buyers who are looking for them.
She says the government remains committed to helping all Kiwis get a warm, dry house, such as this state house built in the Dunedin suburb of Concord last year, which was the first state house to be built in Dunedin since 2009.
We are not changing our focus, however, on addressing this housing crisis. We will continue to build affordable homes. We will continue to build state homes. We will continue to intervene in a failing market.
Earlier this year, a report showed the median house price even in Dunedin is now 6 times the median household income, meaning the city is officially considered unaffordable by some international measures. In Dunedin and Wanaka, the South Today.
Frequent visitors to the Monkey Island camping area are worried there won't be enough room to pitch a tent this summer. The Bailey family have been visiting the campsite for years, but the Southland District Council are in the process of upgrading it. The Baileys are concerned not enough grass area will be left to pitch a tent over Christmas.
Marking their territory, the Bailey family don't believe the Southland District Council's plans to refurbish the car park at Monkey Island will leave them enough space to camp there this summer.
So now we're back to they're trying to squash us into 3 metres. We've marked out here now along the black lines here, 3 metres. And as you can see up there, there's a pup tent up there, which is a one-person tent. And you can't even get that into the 3 metre area.
There's been 2 public meetings and 1 private one with the Baileys, and Karen Bailey says a compromise on the proposed plan was made, but she says council has backed away from that plan.
So at the end of the day, we're actually back to square one now because we're fighting council. What they're saying that there's not enough, it's not viable to have our 6 metres of space that we sort of come to agreement with Simon and Mark on Friday.
Southland District Council Community Facilities Manager Mark Day says there was varied feedback from the community as to how much grass is suitable. He said plans are still being finalised and the limited space of 120 metres by 18 metres made it difficult to accommodate the needs of all users. Bailey says everyone should have equal rights.
We are all ratepayers. Everyone Southland region are all ratepayers. We all have a say. So they have no more say than what we do here today. So basically, yeah, that's it. And that's why we're here today, fighting and protesting. And this is not the end.
Mark Day says it's the council's intention to create a family-friendly space at Monkey Island with upgraded facilities, and they're continuing to explore the options for the project before finalising their decision. Karen Bailey says the whānau is hoping for another public meeting to be held next week. In Southland, the South Today.
Still to come after the break on Southern News Week. The Countdown supermarket in central Oamaru has added a new weapon to its arsenal against seagulls nesting on the roof. And Tongan Language Week was celebrated in Timaru. Welcome back. The Countdown supermarket in central Oamaru has added a new weapon to its arsenal against seagulls nesting on the roof. Along with spikes on the rooftops perimeter and a light laser, the company is now releasing ozone gas to encourage the birds to go elsewhere.
Checking up on the pipes that spread ozone gas over the roof of Central Oamaru's Countdown supermarket. Woolworths manager Ian Whitloff says pumping ozone on the roof is the latest trick for discouraging the gulls which have been nesting on the top of the building.
When the sun shines on the air, it produces ozone naturally. So we're not doing anything, creating anything poisonous. What ozone does, it interferes with the way a bird can breathe. So it just makes it a little bit of an irritation for the birds.
Last year, almost 1,000 red-billed gulls nested on the supermarket roof. But now, the ozone gas, plus other techniques such as spikes on the roof edge and a laser light, have reduced numbers dramatically. Whitloff says the Oamaru seabirds need to rest somewhere, but the metal rooftop is not a good nesting site.
We have a metal tin roof here, and in the height of summer, you can just imagine the temperature that this roof reaches. It's a very, very hot environment. It's not something that the birds would normally nest on.
Thanks to all the bird deterrents, a typical day sees about 50 gulls perching on the roof, but no bird nests, which Whitloff says is a positive thing.
So what we're finding is that the birds are bringing up ridiculous things like cooked chicken bones from fast food takeaways and things like that, and trying to build nests with it. It's so unnatural, it's unfair on the bird.
Once red-billed gull nests are formed, they can't be removed because the birds are protected under the Wildlife Act.
If we were to leave it too late and the nests would actually be formed, then the DOC would not allow us to come on the roof and disturb them. We have a permit, and what we're allowed to do on the roof is very, very strictly controlled, and we're not about to jeopardise that either.
The Waitaki District Council has started making a natural alternative for a gull colony by clearing a remote corner of Cape Wanbrail. Lime is being spread on a new nesting site to simulate the whitewashed look Garno would have in an established colony. In Oamaru, the South Today.
Members of the South Canterbury Tongan Society have been performing around the region recently to celebrate Tongan Language Week. Several performers treated teachers and children from Timaru's Himanuhoi Māori Preschool to a performance.
Sharing culture, rhythm and colour. Members of Timaru's Tongan Society at one of their performances this week as they celebrate Tongan Language Week. He Manuhau manager Anna Buckingham says it's good for the two groups to continue sharing their cultures together, particularly as the bilingual Māori preschool has a couple of Tongan pupils.
Today we had the Timaru Tongan Society in, and we're celebrating Tongan Language Week.
It's the fourth year the group has performed around South Canterbury for the Tongan Celebratory Week, and Buckingham says it's nice to welcome the group back.
This is the second time that we've had the Tongan Society in. So we have some Tongan children at Himanuhau, and we're all celebrating together.
This was just one of 4 performances the group gave during the week. Tongan Language Week runs until Saturday and is being celebrated with events throughout the country. In Timaru, the South Today.
Central Otago's creative felters are gearing up for the biggest event on their craft calendars in recent times. More than 90 registrations have been received for the 15th convergence of felters, affectionately dubbed Felting Frenzy.
From flowers to stars and all manner of things in between. Around 90 people have signed up to take part in a gathering of felters in Queenstown later this month.
Convergence is a coming together of like-minded people. So when we say we're going to converge in Queenstown, felters from throughout the world, but mainly the Southern Hemisphere, will converge and we'll all come to Queenstown for 4 days of felting and fun.
Organised by Southern Fun Felters, convener Gillian Shaw says many people are working behind the scenes, preparing all aspects of the 3-day event. Shaw says all manner of things can be made with felting.
There's all sorts of things, from a felted hat to boots to gloves to novelty items. And one of our members has felted the most amazing piece to go in the foyer at Ridges, and it's our native birds and native flowers with welcome and kia ora on it.
A wide range of items have been donated for goodie bags, including cotton and 25 grams of what's believed to be New Zealand's finest Macron silver from the Forest Range in Alindis Pass. She says many people are expected to turn up from around the globe, and with many of them bringing treasures with them to pass on to others.
There could be anything in those, and sometimes it's people are de-stashing, so they may no longer need the silk or whatever that they've got. So it's a bit like a rummage or a car boot sale, but should be a lot of fun.
Registrations have been received for the event from as far away as Canada, America, Singapore and Australia, along with many New Zealanders. Felting Frenzy is set to run in Queenstown from September the 23rd to the 26th. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Education Minister Chris Hipkins visited Queenstown recently to announce plans to pump $27 million into Otago and Southland schools. The intention is to cater for growing school roles. The plan includes $17 million to build a new primary school near Queenstown.
Getting a tour of Shotover Primary School in Queenstown, Minister of Education Chris Hipkins says the government is to spend $27 million building extra classrooms in central Otago and Southland to keep up with rising school roles.
The population down here is growing really fast. It's growing dramatically. We know that we haven't been fast enough to provide extra space in the past. So today we're putting a lot of extra money in so that we can get ahead of that growth.
Over half of the $27 million allocated to the southern region will go towards building a new primary school nearby Hanley's Farm, providing space for about 400 pupils.
Building another new primary school, we're putting an extra 10 spaces around the place, and we're trying to get ahead of the growth curve so that schools don't become overcrowded.
Hipkins says the plan is to provide space for about 5,000 extra students in Otago and Southland by 2030, but areas of future population growth can be hard to predict.
We don't want to announce everything all up front, as we need to be able to shift where the population shifts. So, and we need to be able to put those extra schools, those extra classrooms where they're going to actually be needed.
Shotover Primary School is set to receive 6 new classrooms. Alexandra School and Wanaka's Hawea Flat School will get 4 new classrooms, and Garston School and Cromwell Primary School are set to get another 3 new classrooms. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come after the break on Southern News Week, a squadron of antique Australian aircraft have landed at a Wanaka museum, and grassroots rugby is alive and well in the Southern Heartland. Thanks for staying with us. An antique squadron of 10 Australian aircraft have landed at Wanaka Transport and Toy Museum. Coming from a recently closed Sydney museum, the collection includes military and light aircraft, as well as a large transport helicopter.
Checking up on a large Sikorsky transporter helicopter, one of the 10 unusual aircraft which have been shipped by container from Australia to the Wanaka Transport and Toy Museum. And here, this Russian MiG Fighter 15 jet is just one of several military aircraft in the consignment.
Well, we've got like the Vampire. It's not a standard Vampire, it's one that was used in the Navy for on and off the aircraft carriers. So it's a little bit different to what we had.
Rhodes says they've been working on getting the planes out of Australia since November last year, with a lot of hold-ups, including the Australian Defence Force listing the MiG fighter jet as a weapon of mass destruction.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot of red tape hold things up that made life very stressful along the way. What we thought should have been a simple 30-day turnaround has turned out to be quite some months.
While the planes are to be lovingly restored, Rhodes says they won't ever traverse the skies again.
We won't fly any of them. As much as some of the experimental and home-built ones could be flown, it's not what we're going to do, because if they ever crashed and destroyed themselves, it's history that's gone.
Rhodes is also planning to acquire all the commercial aircraft used by Air New Zealand, including a DC-8 currently in Brazil and a Lockheed Electra turboprop which brought the Beatles to New Zealand in 1964. In Wanaka, the South Today.
School pupils were busy planting flaxes and grasses at the Matakari wetlands near Queenstown on Tuesday. Coming from 9 different Central Otago schools, the pupils visited Queenstown as part of a hui on climate change.
Venturing out into Queenstown's Matakari wetlands, 55 pupils from various schools around Central Otago got a chance to help restore the swamp through planting native grasses and flaxes. Once these flax plants are mature, their flowers will attract nectar-feeding birds, such as tui.
We are planting native flax and to make sure all of the native birds and insects come back.
Year 5 to 8 pupils spent the morning learning the science of environmental consequences, and they calculated the amount of CO2 emissions released when they travel to and from school in a car.
We've learned about the carbon dioxide and what we need to do to improve our carbon footprint.
If you drive a car, then that's burning fossil fuels, and it's also burning, and it's also like the expenses to transport the petrol to the petrol station where you get your car, and also plus the mechanics to make your car.
So the afternoon was spent planting flaxes and grasses to offset some of their CO2 emissions. Enviro Schools Otago Regional Coordinator Robin Zink is impressed by the ideas the students have to be more environmentally friendly.
What we want these young people to understand is that by working together we can make a difference, and that they do have a voice in that space.
In Queenstown, the South Today.
The youth of Upper Clutha had plenty to showcase when the district's 2nd annual youth exhibition was held recently. The Wanaka youngsters showed off some young enterprise schemes, as well as creative skills including photography and video making.
Setting up for an evening of local pupils showcasing youth-driven initiatives and skills at Wanaka Library.
That's an opportunity for the community to come in and meet some of our youth who are doing some really cool things in music and dance and enterprise projects they're passionate about. We've got some photography going on in there.
Photographer Toby Mills shared images of architecture and scenery he's photographed in and out of New Zealand.
2 years ago, I asked for a camera for my birthday, and I got one, and I've just loved taking photos for fun. And I went to France for a year to learn some French and just to have that experience. And as well, I'm also half British, so I took my camera there and took some photos.
Filmmaker Nat Warburton showed some of his films of adventure sports, including river surfing at the local Hawea Wave.
I've always loved filmmaking since a very young age, where I've had a camera, and it's been very good to use it expressively to show you what you do. And I love the outdoors because it has so much to offer, and river surfing is awesome because it's a great community and everybody's having fun together.
A young enterprise scheme project under the name of Good Fuel have found an easy way to make a healthier biscuit.
We're selling ready-made baking bags, so we've got our bags here, and they are just all the dry ingredients to make chocolate chip oat cookies.
So our cookies are all refined sugar-free, so we did a lot of recipe testing and all before we finally got them on the market today. So yeah, our main goal behind them was just to make them sugar-free.
And some of the musical entertainment on the night was provided by Luca Giorgali and Lillian Eastwood. In Wanaka, the South Today.
People of all ages lined St Bathans rugby field for the annual Wooden Cup match between Becks and St Bathans on Saturday. It could have been anyone's match until the final quarter, but a late try gave Becks the margin it needed for a healthy 34-19 win.
Grassroots rugby is alive and well in St Bathans. This match between Becks and St Bathans dates back to the gold mining era Back then it was played between the Irish and Welsh gold miners. Beck's coach Steve Hoare says although his team came away with the win, the game is about bringing the community together. The St Bathans coach Phil Smith agrees, saying it's played pretty tough on the paddock, but they're all good mates. The teams are playing for the Wooden Cup, which was made when the tournament was resurrected at the end of World War II by the then publican of the Vulcan Hotel. The main boundary dividing where the teams come from is Woolshed Creek. In St Bathans, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern News Week. For the latest news from across the southern region, check out www.odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Take care of yourself and others. Thanks for watching. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.